What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Early Edge. If you thought this was going to be a slow sports week, well, you need to apologize because you were wrong. We have a lot in store for you, including some PGA, Major League Baseball, NBA. We are going to cover it all, and of course, soccer too. And before we bring in the stars of the show, one thing, first of all, everybody in the chat, thanks for the support. I saw some rogue audience member came in here, and we had the family regulate that, which I absolutely love to see. Let's look at the recap screen. Let's see how we did. This looks like 500 ball for the most part here. My Orioles play pushed. We win the Royals' first 5 money line. That was an easy one. Prop Stars cashes his. Couple of losses on this board, though, and frankly, we technically lose on the juice. We got to do better than that, folks, and we're going to do it with the stars of the show. I mentioned soccer, so you know that means on a Wednesday, Martin Green. We've got Tim Doyle, his shades, his hammer, no Chicago Joe today. And, of course, we got Mike McClure as well. Listen, guys, I want to get right into it. By the way, Mark Thomas, Brian Smith, Eric David, CID, Gippers Picks, Chris Kish. See everybody in there. Hit the like button if you could. Tim, I got to start with you. We got to start with the Western Conference Finals. Now, I know you have some official picks here, but let's talk about who you think might win this thing and in how many games. Just like yesterday, we had the Eastern Conference Finals up, and we had this exact chart. T-Wolves in how many games, Mavs in how many games. We've got the series odds up here on YouTube as well. What are your initial thoughts going into this series looking at this graphic, Tim?
I think Dallas has completely changed their makeup from the beginning of the year till now. And even against OKC, they won that series in 6, and I thought they could have won it in 5. I thought they were the better team. I think they defend extremely well. And the biggest thing with Dallas is they really understand who they are from a team perspective. That Luka's the man, Kyrie is the second guy, but man, they got great contributions to PJ Washington. He averaged almost 20 points a game in that OKC series. Derek Jones made some enormous shots. Like, they understand their culture. We watched a Knicks team that was basically just willing themselves on culture. They know who they are. I'm worried the T-Wolves think they won the title. And that was a great series, and certainly they earned it winning in Denver in game number 7. But I'm going to go Mavericks in 6 here. I would not want to go back game 7 in Minnesota, so I don't like that. So I'm going to go Mavs in 6, Sia, plus 450.
Wow, certainly a contrarian play there. Mike, Tim's mentioning some of the role players on Dallas. I mean, what's interesting about both of these teams is the role players are super high impact on both sides of the ball, offense and defense for both teams. I personally think that the T-Wolves role players are a little bit deeper, a little bit better overall, but I respect Tim's opinion on this as well. Where do you stand in terms of how this series plays out?
I actually lean the same direction as Tim here in Mavs in either 6 or 7. And I will say, I love Minnesota. I think they've been a great team. I think Denver was a better matchup for Minnesota than Dallas is. When it comes to this, I'm concerned with who's going to guard Luka. So when you look at these guys out there, McDaniels can at times, but I don't think he's big enough. I don't think he's strong enough. I know Alexander Walker isn't. So the problem that Minnesota might run into is they might be forced to have more Kyle Anderson minutes, which will be fine on the defensive end of the floor at times. He's got the size and the physicality to potentially, kind of hang with Luka a little bit, but he's a liability offensively. So that'll be fascinating. If they have to do that, they're going to need Naz Reid to knock down some of those threes. I agree that Minnesota has the depth on the bench. I just don't know if it matters as much in the series. If Luka doesn't deteriorate anymore health-wise, if he stays at this level and potentially gets healthier, I think he's just going to play enough minutes to make this ultimately competitive. And I trust Dallas late game execution a lot more than I do with Minnesota.
Yeah, just to your point, as you were talking, Mike, like I was just wondering, Sia, does Anthony Edwards take on that challenge?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's a bit of a rotation. I do think it's Jaden McDaniels. I think we could see Alexander Walker on him. I do think we could see Anthony Edwards on him, but somebody's got to guard Kyrie Irving as well, right? I do think it's interesting what Mike McClure said about deteriorating, though, because we don't, Tim, you've been watching these games up close and personal. I mean, we don't exactly know what Luka's status is in terms of his health. Now you go up against this banger defensive team. I think it really could be trouble for him game to game in terms of just wearing down.
I was out with the Denver Nuggets organization last week. That's a name drop, by the way. And Luka is the most feared player in the entire NBA. That was the guy that they feared. That was before that series actually wrapped up between Denver and Minnesota. They were like, we don't want to see Luka. And Lou Dort is basically, if you could build the perfect defender, body-wise, height-wise, athleticism, strength, he would be pretty close to what you wanted. And as the series wore on, Sia, we were expecting Luka to wear down. It actually was the opposite.
Yeah.
Kind of got stronger as the series wore on. So I was not a big Dallas believer. I was actually out with the Mavericks GM in November. We were at the United Center, Kentucky, Kansas, Duke. They were all playing there. I was in a suite. Magic Johnson was there.
I mean,
Nico was there. And
these name drops. Martin, you got to be shaking your head here.
I
Carry
said to
on,
him
Tim.
before, I said, like, I didn't know him. So I went, hey, I go, and he had the Dallas game on. I go, man, you guys need a lot of help. And like, I thought I was making a joke. He did not find it funny at all. But maybe he listened to me because they completely overhauled their roster. PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, and that's when their team changed. They went from an offensive team to a defensive team. Not taking credit for that. And he did not, and Michael Finley was there too, did not find it funny at all that I said that. But I did mean it. Like, they needed to come up with a new identity, a new culture. They found it, and that's why I'm picking them in the series.
Martin Green, Tim Doyle is taking credit for restructuring the Dallas Mavericks organization. And we can't definitively say that this is an untruth. We can't say this is false. With that said, you made an interesting comment before we went live, Martin. You said something about these two teams being in the Western Conference Finals. Can you just repeat that for us?
How have these two teams made it to the Western Conference Finals? What happened to the Western Conference? I thought they used to be good. Where's all the big teams? Shocked that they've made it through. But yeah, I do think Dallas wins it 4-2. That's my prediction. You heard it here first. I think Luka Doncic is going to be the star of the show. And yeah, well done, Tim, for overhauling that roster. I heard Tim was involved in inventing the iPhone as well, but I'm not sure. Rumors haven't yet been proved.
All right, well, we got 3 people on Dallas. We got 1 person on Minnesota. I've been calling Minnesota since the Phoenix Suns series. I like them as an outlier long shot to win the championship. Still on that. You can get it at plus 260, but before the playoffs, you could have gotten it a lot longer than that. I'm sticking to my guns there. All right, let's get to some official picks. And Martin, I'm kicking it right back to you. We got 2 soccer plays, 2 plays for the pitch, and then we get to a ton of other picks we've got on this show. Martin, you're kicking us off.
Thank you, Sia. Yes, it is the Europa League final today, and Bayer Leverkusen will aim to extend their remarkable unbeaten streak to 52 games when they take on Atalanta. They just became the first team in history to finish a Bundesliga season without losing a single game. They've also reached the Europa League final and the German Cup final without tasting defeat, so they could end the campaign with a famous treble. They do face a stern test of their mettle against Atalanta, who have won their last 5 games in Serie A. I found this one relatively difficult to handicap because Atalanta are just such an unpredictable team. However, they did lose 1-0 to Juventus in the Coppa Italia final last week. I'm a bit concerned that experience could weigh heavily on these players. On paper, the teams do look quite evenly matched. Atalanta have some very good players within their ranks, but Bayer Leverkusen just always seem to find a way to win at the moment, so I'm going to have to back them to win this game. I also think that both teams should score. Juventus played very defensively against Atalanta last week, but Bayer Leverkusen are a far more exciting attacking team than Juventus. They're full of confidence right now, so I think this one should be an entertaining clash. They have scored in 33 of their 34 league games so far this season. And it's also worth noting that Atalanta found the back of the net in 32 out of 36 matches. They can really turn it on in attack when they want to. They beat Liverpool earlier in this competition. I did think another good option could be second half to be the highest scoring half at plus 110, as Bayer Leverkusen often score late goals. But for an official play, I'll just go for both teams to score.
All right, both teams to score. I like both of these plays. I like all the plays in the chat, by the way. I can't catch up with everything, but I see, let's see, Kyle, Philip, Brandon, you've got plays in here. Bradley and Moshe, I know you've been crushing some plays over the last week or so, and I know you've hit some plays just in the last 24 hours, so absolutely love to see that. Reed Phillips has a question for you, Martin Green. What do you think of parlaying Leverkusen to lift the trophy with Real Madrid to lift the trophy?
I like it, yeah. That covers you for extra time and penalties, which is helpful because, like I said, Atalanta are a competitive team, and it would be a big surprise if Real Madrid failed to win the Champions League. They're coming up against a decent Dortmund team, but they will be the heavy favourites in that game. So I like that one a lot, Reed. I would be very surprised if that didn't pay off. So that sounds great.
All right. Good look, Reed Phillips. Absolutely love that. All right. Speaking of looking, let's look at SportsLine for a second. Hopefully you're all members of SportsLine, but if you are, you would have already seen that we've got Tyler Anderson under 17.5 outs at -110. That's Angels Astros. We got a lot of afternoon baseball, including a game I'm about to give out in a few minutes. But again, Tyler Anderson under 17.5 outs at -110. I actually looked at that game. I personally looked at potentially fading Hunter Brown and taking the Angels first 5 plus a half at -110. Couldn't really get there though, so I'm laying off that. But in essence, I kind of like fading both of these pitchers today. Mike McClure, I saw you nodding your head a little bit. This is certainly not an official pick from you, but any thoughts on this Astros game? I know you had Hunter Brown in a play about a week ago. How do you feel about this game? Any thoughts, leans, otherwise?
Yeah, I kind of like the Anderson play. It's always interesting with a guy like Anderson when you back and market like total outs though, because he doesn't have a ton of strikeout upside, and the Astros don't strike out. And some of that is they might be jumping pitches, putting balls in play. So with some of that batted ball luck, he might have one of those starts where he gives up 4 runs, but also manages to pitch 6 complete innings. I will say, though, the Astros are the best team in Major League Baseball when playing on their home field. They absolutely dominate at home, traditionally hit left-handed pitching very well. So, yes, I would lean the way of the Astros. I would look to back them in either that outs recorded market against Anderson or potentially a first 5 or first 7 team total on the Astros.
Gotcha. And I'm glad I didn't make that Tyler Anderson plus a half a run in official play in the first 5, because it sounds like Mike would at least lean to the other side of that. All right, well, if you want to make that play, the SportsLine play, Martin Green's 2 soccer picks, or the picks Tim's about to give out, new BetMGM customers, well, you can sign up today and get $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to Tim's pick. We got to get to my 2 picks. We got to get to Mike McClure's pick, and we're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
2 big boys getting ready to play. Big being the operative word here. And here they come.
Tim, you teased it a little bit. You like the Mavericks in the series. I guess the question becomes, do you like the Mavericks tonight? You've got 2 plays for the NBA to give out. What are they?
Yeah, I do like the Mavericks plus the points. I think that could end up being the difference. Of course, Minnesota should be favorite in this spot. But I think it should be like 2, 2.5. You got to think this is a massive letdown spot for the T-Wolves. That was an emotional win. You knocked off the NBA champions. You knocked off the Joker. Me, McClure, we all believed in Denver. Fall behind, take a 3-2 lead. Who would have thought they lost that game, especially up 20 points in the 4th quarter? But that's sports. That's why we watch, because anything can happen at any given moment. I do think that the Mavericks are really hard to prepare for, and Luka Doncic got stronger as that series wore on, contrary to all our beliefs. We thought that OKC was young. They were going to wear him down. As for, Denver never really looked great throughout the playoffs. They had a couple of good games. The majority of the series against the Lakers, they trailed. Dallas is a different beast, and Derek Lively coming off the bench understands his role. That's the thing about Dallas I like. Everyone understands their job. It's all built around Luka, and Lou Dort's as good a defender as you can get. I don't think Minnesota has the same sort of strength and body. I know they're going to throw a lot of different guys at him, but I think the points of the difference here. Give me Dallas plus the points, and then we're going to go over to the Boston-Indiana series. What a great game one that was, and I actually gave out this pick, Sia, before the series started. Boston in 5. It was plus 155 yesterday. You only lost 15 points. You're still getting plus money here. I do think Indiana wins a game at home. It feels like Boston just always does enough, or like they turn it on and off. Like they're so far the dominant team. And by the way, they're the only team left in the playoffs that can get better. What does that mean? They don't have Kristaps Porzingis. When he comes back, the team is actually going to get exponentially better. I love Al Horford. I'm jealous of Al Horford. He's got a beautiful family. He has hundreds of millions of dollars, and he married Miss Universe. I drive a Chrysler Pacifica. Okay, I can open up all my doors from inside a restaurant. I think that's pretty cool, but I'm not Al Horford, okay? And I think when Porzingis comes back, that is a huge upgrade over the old Al Horford. I do think the Pacers, they've been great at home. They get one at home. I don't think they get two. I do think that Boston figures out a way to win in Indiana. Then it will be 3-1, comes back to Boston. They shut it down in 5. So give me Celtics in 5. So 2 people are left in the NBA, Final Four, Martin, that I can't stand. Al Horford, because he married Miss Universe, right? And my wife's nice. Luckily, she's not Miss Universe. And then Michael Conley. See, I hate Michael Conley. Yes. I hate his guts because my last year of college, he led the conference that I played in assists and steals. Okay. And do you know, Martin, who was second in the conference? Yours truly. Okay. Michael Conley has made almost $300 million playing in the NBA. Last year, Martin, I made $86,500. I don't know what's going on with my life. Michael Conley, Al Horford, Sia, all these guys have these most perfect lives. I'm driving a Pacifica. Where did it all go wrong for me, Sia?
This is amazing. By the way, just to clarify and be specific, this is the Big Ten Conference, correct?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's very, very, very impressive. The Chrysler Pacifica, is that a minivan? Please tell me you don't drive a minivan.
Well, you shut your mouth, okay? I curse your tongue. Not only is it a minivan, I actually have a vacuum that hooks up in the car because kids are going to get sloppy. I have 9, 7, and 2 that I know about, so I have to clean up constantly in that van.
Oh, that I know about postscript was just perfect. All right, we got to move on. By the way, Tim, apparently you missed yesterday's show because I'm on your bet. I'm on the Celtics to win 4-0 or 4-1. I said it on the show yesterday. I even have a showdown with the Maestro. He has the Pacers plus 2.5. I've got the other side of that. I got to be honest. The Celtics should have lost yesterday, but I think the Pacers kind of might have missed their window, might have missed their chance to really put their imprint on the series. They gave that game away at the end. I was kind of shocked by the last few possessions. But we move along to, it was Aaron Bailey in the chat. He said, hey, we've got day baseball today, baby. And we absolutely do. That's exactly where I'm going to start. I got 2 picks for you. One of them's tomorrow morning, of course, for golf. But today, I'm going with the Orioles first 5 money line. They got to finish their game from yesterday. That was the game that we pushed in the first 5, but they didn't finish the game. They're going out there, I think, in a couple hours to finish that one. But immediately after that, we've got John Means on the mound against Kyle Gibson, and I'm just in the mood to fade Kyle Gibson. It's not the first time I've done it this year. Now, the Orioles not particularly good against righties, but this is Kyle Gibson at the end of the day, and I will be fading him basically for the duration of the season when I get a team like the Orioles that I know has the potential and the upside to crush him, to get all over him. And Gibson has been giving up some runs lately. As far as John Means, he's had 3 starts since being ready to pitch. One of those starts didn't go well, and that was against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who hit lefties quite well. So I'm going to forgive him for that. The other 2 starts were very good. He faces a St. Louis Cardinals team that has actually been attacking righties very, very well, but against lefties, not so much. I think this is a really good spot for the Orioles. I think minus 138 is an appropriate price. I'd probably play this up to minus 140-ish. And some change, but once it gets to the minus 150 range, which I don't think it will, that's when it's probably getting a little bit too expensive for me. But give me the Orioles first 5 this afternoon. Again, this one starts in a few hours, and then we're going to golf tomorrow. I've got a 3-ball that I like. I've got Aaron Rai plus 125 over Bo Hostler and Brandon Wu. This is a round 1 3-ball. There are going to be some markets where you can find Aaron Rai in a solo matchup, something I'm also looking into, but those matchups come out a little later than these 3-balls. Bottom line here is Aaron Rai is a very, very good course fit. He's got good history here. What you need at this course is accuracy off the tee. You need to be dialed in with your mid-irons. Check for Aaron Rai. As far as Bo Hostler, he's a good golfer, but the approach play and the ball striking just hasn't been there. The short game is actually pretty elite for Bo Hostler. That's really going to help him here. But if your mid-irons aren't good and if your accuracy isn't good, you're probably not starting off well. And he has not been good with the finishing positions lately outside of a 4th-place finish at the Myrtle Beach Classic a couple of weeks ago. Brandon Wu just hasn't been good this entire year. I don't think he's a big part of this equation. Can he pop for a round? Yes. But I'm really leaning on fading those 2, but more importantly, supporting Aaron Rai, who, oh, by the way, is a first-round leader for me in round 1 as well. Really like his chances in this tournament to flash. Give me Aaron Rai plus 125 in round 1 over Bo Hostler and Brandon Woo. All right, Mike McClure, we got to go back to baseball. We got to go back to one of your favorite teams to back in 2024. You've got the floor.
Back to the Kansas City Royals here, Sia. What a pitching matchup. If you're a fan of baseball in general, day baseball, this game is a beauty. Tariq Skubal and Cole Ragans, two really, really top-tier left-handed starting pitchers in Major League Baseball. But love this matchup when it's a division rivalry. I think the Tigers are just a little overvalued here. I know Skubal has been pretty solid overall. Ragans has as well, but it's the home road splits that I think we should talk about. You know, I mentioned the Houston Astros earlier in the show being so good at home. There is no team in baseball that has more drastic home road splits than the Kansas City Royals. When Kansas City Royals play at home, they are number 3 in Major League Baseball in terms of weighted on base average. When they play on the road, they are 28th. That road rating is essentially where they were last season. They're just dominant at home. The Tigers, terrible against left-handed pitching, 27th out of 30 teams in Major League Baseball. Despite having their ace on the mound, I think there's some value with the day game early start for Kansas City here. They have been dominant at home. Again, I think this is a great matchup for Ragans. Great kind of a bounce back opportunity for him individually. And then Skubal, look, this team is relatively familiar with him. Skubal has struggled in one of his 2 outings previously against the Kansas City Royals. Got tagged for 7 runs in that one in just 4 innings. I think this is a spot to back Kansas City at a beautiful price point, frankly. So you can find this around plus 105, which is where I played it. I think they should be 53% favorites, which would make the price point minus 113. So I am on Kansas City once again. And I got to say, again, if you are a baseball fan and love pitching, tune into this one because there are 2 extremely talented lefties on the mound today.
Yeah, this one's going to be interesting. Any thoughts? Did you give any thought to the under in this one? I know it was already set pretty low at 7.5, but any thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm not going to touch the under in it just because I do think that it's possible Kansas City puts up a decent number here against Skubal, but I think that we're looking at bullpen action on both sides. So not going to be a situation where I'm going to attack the total.
All right. And Japan says the Royals are a legit ATM this year. By the way, for those of you that have golf questions, don't forget we have the early wedge that we recorded yesterday. It was just me and EC on that one. That's in your feed. You can check out those picks, and I'll be updating my SportsLine article and sending it out within the next few hours so you can see all of my updated picks as well. Tim Doyle, I got to ask you before we get to the recap screen, Chicago Joe, is he on the Mavericks tonight as well?
You know, what I do to Chicago Joe when he's losing, because we went head to head on the show, he lost. I put him in the bathroom like Eddie Mush in A Bronx Tale. Where Martin is from, that movie just came out. Just like the Macarena is a popular dance. Like everything gets to Martin like 5. You ever go like on a vacation there? The music that you guys are listening to, Martin, you got to catch up with the times.
What's wrong with Ricky Martin?
By the way, not sure if you know this, McClure, but Ricky Martin did a shower scene once in a movie, and you saw his butt. It wasn't his butt; it was Sia's butt. Like it was like it was a body double, and it was actually Sia from behind.
Yeah, little known fact. Not a lot of people know that. Nice segue, Tim, for the recap screen. Now we really got to get out of here. All right, Martin Green, Bayern Leverkusen, money line minus 125, and Atalanta Leverkusen, both teams to score minus 125. I've got 2 plays, one today and one tomorrow. Orioles first 5 money line minus 138 tomorrow. I've got a round 1 3-ball Aaron Rye plus 125 over Bo Hostler and Brandon Boone. Mike McClure is back on the Royals at even money. Tim Doyle, Mavericks plus 4.5, Celtics to win the series 4-1 at plus 140. You can still get that. And SportsLine pick, Tyler Anderson under 17.5 outs at minus 110. A lot more SportsLine picks on the site, on the app. So definitely make sure you're subscribed to that and check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. We've taken way too much of your time. On behalf of Tim Doyle, on behalf of Mike McClure, Martin Green, and Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.